today we hear about Thomas, and everybody's got this, not everybody maybe, but a lot of people have this attitude about Thomas, doubting Thomas, he didn't believe, the show me state kind of like apostle. And I understand why people think that way about Thomas, but let me tell you about my feeling about Thomas. When Martha sent news to Jesus that her brother Lazarus in Bethany was about to die, this is Martha, of course, of Martha and Mary and Lazarus. And Jesus says we've got to go back to Jerusalem because Lazarus has taken ill. The disciples argue with him. They say, what do you want to go back there for? They want to stone you there. And Jesus is resolute. He doesn't go right away because he actually wants Lazarus to die so that he can do the miracle, of course. But he does say we're going back. And the illness is not to end in death. This is for the glory of God and that kind of thing. And people know what he's talking about when they get to Jerusalem. But while the disciples are sort of feeling this consternation, he wants to go back where they want to stone him. One of them, Thomas, says, let's all go to Jerusalem and die together with him. Now think about that. That's how much Thomas loves Jesus. That's how much he admires him. That's how much he reveres him. That's how loyal he is to Jesus. I don't like calling him doubting Thomas. This is the reason I think he doubted. The reason he couldn't believe, his heart was broken. His heart was broken. And he couldn't put it back together again. That's how much he loved Jesus. He would have liked to have died with Jesus too. Sure, like all the rest of the men, he was a coward. He ran away when Jesus got crucified. But he would have liked to have died wherever he was because Jesus was dying. He didn't have the guts to stand there to be crucified with him or whatever, but in his heart, he wanted to die with Jesus. He didn't want to be in the world where Jesus wasn't anymore. He didn't want to be in that world. And I admire Thomas for that. And I think because his heart was in pieces, because he couldn't put it back together, that's why. This was just too good to be true. He couldn't believe it. He didn't have the advantage of having seen Jesus like everybody else. And Jesus does use the moment with him to say, blessed are those who have not seen and yet believe. So yeah, there's something to be said about, something to be learned from his disbelief. But I think we need to factor into it the fact that he so loved Jesus, that he just could not get over how crushed he was at what had happened. There's something in that for me it can be learned from and that can be related to. I think it's beautiful.